Hallo, guten Tag. Können Sie mich hören? Ich höre Sie nicht. Hallo, hallo? Also, aber nee, ich kann ihn ja nicht hören. Also, klar. Mhm. Ähm, die sind nicht mehr da, die ich eben hatte. Guten Tag. Hören Sie mich? Ah, okay. Ich höre Sie immer noch nicht. Liegt das an uns? Sie sind vielleicht auf stumm geschaltet? Auch nicht? Vielleicht ist die Lautstärke nicht. Ist Ihr Mikrofon richtig eingerichtet? Ist es, unterstützt der Browser das Mikrofon? Ja, genau. Benutzen Sie Google Chrome? Mit, ja, okay. An was kann es noch liegen? Haben Sie vielleicht bei dem Volume, es gibt die Möglichkeit, die Übersetzungen freizuschalten. Ja. Ja.
Schönen guten Tag.
Können Sie mich hören?
Ja, ich kann Sie perfekt hören. Können Sie mich hören?
Ich höre Sie nicht richtig.
Sie hören mich nicht richtig. Bei uns müsste prinzipiell das Mikrofon an sein. Probieren wir es mal ohne Maske. Funktioniert das besser jetzt? Nee?
An was kann das liegen? Liegt das an uns oder an dem...
Liegt es an uns?
Okay.
Ja.
Können Sie kurz was sagen?
Ich kann Sie prinzipiell hören, ja? Können Sie mich hören? Ich werde jetzt einfach mal ein paar
Hallo?
Testsätze sagen. Schönen guten Tag. Anderes Mikro vielleicht?
Ja, jetzt habe ich Sie.
Jetzt können Sie mich hören?
Ja, ich kann Sie
Funktioniert?
hören. Perfekt.
Perfekt.
Und Sie sind auf Google Chrome?
Wir sind auf Google Chrome, ja.
Perfekt. Und haben Sie also es gibt ja diese Möglichkeit, die Übersetzungen zu hören. Sind Sie auf Deutsch eingestellt? Also sollte das alles auf Deutsch stattfinden? Bei Ihnen?
Ja,
Und es gibt diese Möglichkeit, die Sprache auf Automatik einzustellen. Das bedeutet, Sie hören dann immer, also entweder die deutsche Übersetzung oder das deutsche Original. Das haben Sie so eingestellt, oder?
Bei uns ist Deutsch eingestellt.
Ja,
aber
genau,
nicht
Deutsch ist eingestellt.
Ja.
Okay, perfekt.
Genau.
Dann, was war noch? Ja, dann, also die Reihenfolge der Beiträge ist ja klar. Aber danach gibt es eine Diskussion und da kann man dann mit dieser Raise-Hand-Funktion, das ist diese grüne Taste, die kann man
Drücken dann,
ein
damit man
Zeichen
dann
geben.
die Aufforderung hat zum Sprechen.
Genau.
Klar.
Und sonst können Sie uns immer über den Chat erreichen. Wenn Sie eine Frage haben zwischendurch, dann können Sie unsere Techniker so kontaktieren. Aber es scheint ja alles zu funktionieren.
Funktioniert perfekt von unserer Seite aus. Perfekt, danke Ihnen vielmals.
Danke Ihnen. Wieder. Ist das Schweiz oder Frankreich? Ah, guten Tag. Hören Sie mich? Hallo, hallo? Ja, nee, ich höre Sie leider nicht. Haben Sie bei den Spracheinstellungen Deutsch eingestellt? Ganz zu Beginn? Okay, und danach gibt es die Funktion Automatik. Das bedeutet, dass Sie immer entweder die deutsche Übersetzung oder das deutsche Original hören. Ist da die Sprache auf Automatik, also im zweiten Schritt eingestellt, nachdem Sie auf Deutsch... Ja. Und Mikrofon ist auch richtig eingestellt bei Ihnen? Ich frage nochmal die Technik. Gibt es von euch einen Tipp, was es sein könnte? Ja, also unsere Techniker, also die Prognose ist, dass Ihr Mikrofon nicht richtig funktioniert. Ja, das höre ich zum Beispiel nicht. Könnten Sie das nochmal überprüfen? Okay, also in den Browser-Einstellungen, ja. Okay. Okay. Ja. Also den Screen teilen, ja, okay. Warum nicht? Ja, aber es war eine andere Location. Und jetzt sind Sie erst an der richtigen Location. Alors, bonjour Alexandre.
Bonjour, vous m'entendez bien?
Oui, je vous entends bien. Et maintenant, vous êtes sur le bon poste, non? C'est ça?
Oui, tout à fait, sur le bon ordinateur.
Ah, ok, sur le bon ordinateur. Donc, oui, ça marche bien. Et pour les interprétations, vous savez, il y a tout d'abord, vous mettez la langue sur français et après, il y aura un autre bouton pour là où vous allez sur automatique et c'est pour entendre les traductions en français et l'original aussi en français.
Excusez-moi, le bouton automatique dont vous me parlez, je ne le vois toujours pas apparaître.
Ok. Mais normalement, c'est parmi les réglages normaux. Donc, attendez.
Je vous en prie.
Also, ich mache das, Sie machen das dann. Donc, si vous rendez votre microphone muet, vous allez entendre les interprétations.
Ah d'accord, il faut que je coupe le micro?
Oui, mais dans le logiciel.
Dans le logiciel?
Oui, dans le logiciel et après vous entendriez l'interprétation.
Mute. Donc juste me mettre en unmute sur le logiciel à chaque fois que je veux entendre l'interprétation.
Un instant, s'il vous plaît.
Je vous en prie.
Aber er muss es nicht jedes Mal machen, oder? Wenn es auf Automatik ist. Ah, okay. Ja, hat er gemacht. Ja, das heißt, aber jedes Mal muss er das Mikrofon ausschalten. Non, apparemment, il semble que tout est bon.
D'accord, très bien.
Donc, ja. Ah, ich spreche mal Deutsch, so dass es übersetzt werden kann. Est-ce que vous entendez l'interprétation?
Je n'entends pas l'interprétation, non.
Er hört die Übersetzung nicht. Pourriez-vous rendre votre microphone au muet? Ja, hören Sie mich? Funktioniert das jetzt? Hören Sie den Ton in der Übersetzung? Hören Sie den Ton in der Übersetzung? Jetzt müssen Sie eigentlich die französische Übersetzung hören von was ich auf Deutsch sage. Okay, c'est bon? Ja, nous faire signe, s'il vous plaît, avec votre... Parfait. Vielen Dank. Sieht gut aus. Okay. Merci. Au revoir. Ah nee, den Schweizer haben wir noch nicht. Können wir den Schweizer nochmal?
Jetzt machst du uns einen Schweizerdeutsch, ja? Geil. Deshalb hast du den Job.
Guten Tag nochmal. Könnten Sie was sagen? Ja, okay, Sie hören mich. Und leider höre ich Sie immer noch nicht. Können Sie einfach mal Ihr Mikrofon an- und ausmachen? Könnten Sie kurz sprechen, sodass ich sehen kann, ob ich Sie höre? Und Sie sind auf Google Chrome, haben wir schon bestätigt. Dann und in Interprify haben Sie den Ton an, Sie sind nicht auf stumm geschaltet. Könnten Sie nochmal sich rausgehen und wieder neu das Programm starten vielleicht? Okay. Ja, wir können Sie immer noch nicht hören. Und die Sprache ist auf Deutsch eingestellt, ja? Einen Moment, bitte. Habt ihr einen Tipp? Ja, unsere Techniker sagen, es müsste an Ihrer Anlage liegen, an dem Mikrofon Ihrer Anlage. Könnten Sie noch mal sprechen, bitte? Könnten Sie bitte den Bildschirm teilen? Es gibt ein Icon in der Menüleiste für Bildschirm teilen. Und zwar, ja, genau. Ah, ja, ja. Mhm. Also ich bestelle... Habt ihr einen Tipp, was ich Ihnen sagen soll? Es gibt ein Einstellungsrädchen oben in dem Menü so grau und da müssen Sie bitte mal drauf gehen. Da bitte auf Audio Device gehen, ja, diese linke Einstellung. Und ja, bitte, da drauf. Okay. Also das müssten eigentlich die richtigen Einstellungen sein. Die einzige Möglichkeit, die es noch gibt, wäre, das Mikrofon auszuschalten und direkt das Mikrofon vom Laptop zu benutzen. Das könnten wir noch ausprobieren. Ach so. Ja, also unsere Techniker sagen, das Schnellste wäre jetzt im Moment, sich über einen Laptop zu verbinden und da eben die Einstellungen vorzunehmen. Okay. Gibt es noch was Sie ihm sagen können? Okay. Okay. Bitte?
Halt heute früh oder was?
Ja.
Diese Interaktion zwischen dem Mikro und dem Hören des Dolmetschkanals ist bekannt. Ne? Also es darf nicht beides gleichzeitig passieren. Das ist nämlich das Problem, wenn man mit den Leuten sehr direkt spricht. Das Mikro muss immer aus sein, sonst...
Das haben wir drüben genauso.
Ja.
Ja, dann ist der Fungglas wahrscheinlich.
Ja.
vorher, dass er ihn leider nicht connecten bekommt? Also im Privatchat? Ja. Sag Bescheid, wenn er soweit ist. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zur
Hello and welcome everybody to today's press conference on the cooperation in the field of night train connections. A few organizational remarks. We'll start with Minister Scheuer, then we'll continue in Austria with Minister Gewessler. We'll move over to France, and then the individual representatives of the railway undertakings. Afterwards, you will have the opportunity to ask 2-3 short questions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased that at this European Day of Transport Policy, we have the opportunity to have this event. We have been very productive in this morning session, and we will continue to be productive in the afternoon. Now we have an example for how within a few short months we can reach concrete results. This is how politics can work if everybody works together. We have gathered specific ideas in the field during the Railway Summit. And the Council presidency opened a discussion on these subjects. Now, only a few months later, in December, within the Europe Ministers of Transport, in only a few weeks, we have presented the Trans-Europe Express 2.0. Our aim is to be able to travel in a better way by train through Europe over longer distances as well. Our citizens want this. We have received very positive response so far. Our TEE strategy is the basis on which undertakings can use their high-speed trains and own night trains to offer attractive connections. We have already received a lot of positive feedback from the transport ministries in Europe. Many have given us their commitment for this endeavor, and it is my great pleasure today to welcome my counterparts from Austria, Switzerland, and France. You're all invited to give your statements. My Swiss counterpart had to go to cabinet, unfortunately. After my counterparts, the railway undertakings will have the opportunity to present their ideas and their plans. We can announce that this mission is accomplished. We have taken an important step towards TEE 2.0 because the railway undertakings from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and France want to operate jointly new international night train connections in Europe starting in 2021. This is the first new corporate statement for the implementation of this TEE 2.0 strategy. These specific connections will be presented by the CEOs of the railway undertakings. Right next to me, you see the head of the Deutsche Bahn. And I can give away that much. The new services offered by the railway undertakings will start at the end of next year. So we have something to look forward to regarding the golden post-corona era in European railway transport. European rail transport can already be experienced today in a new way. Next Sunday, on December 13th, with the timetable change, the newly electrified connection between Munich and Zurich will be inaugurated. And this connection meets all the requirements needed for the new line of the TEE 2.0. This will be the first connection in a synchronized timetable for Germany. It is within time frame. This is what a transport minister wants to see. This will be the start for a strong connection, like I said, in a synchronized timetable for Germany. And this way, we will be able to better synchronize the European connections and maybe flesh out a European synchronized timetable. This is actively combating climate change, ladies and gentlemen, and the inauguration of this Munich-Zurich connection is one of two specific measures of European rail cooperation that we have been able to implement during the German Council presidency. With such attractive offerings, we can be underway in Europe even more climate-friendly and environment-friendly. Like I said, we are actively combating climate change. Taking the train can be an attractive alternative for inner-European flights and long car trips. The railways are an important leverage for the European Green Deal and for our new mobility approach. Our long-term goal should be to connect our cities and our capitals even better on the railways. And the EU Commission has promised support. They will call the Year of the Railways in 2021, and this is a concrete implementation. Politicians make a suggestion, and the undertakings implement it. This today is a very good example for it. Thank you very much, Minister. We had a few technical problems with the sound, so please accept our apologies. We'll continue with Mr. Gewessler. Oh no, Switzerland. Ladies and gentlemen, today's signing of the MOU for European night rail services is an important European political signal for the fight against climate change, but also vis-à-vis our international partners. We take our responsibilities seriously in Europe, and we know we need to significantly reduce our emissions in transport, and we take action together in order to succeed. This means, in particularly one thing, we must bank even more on climate-friendly alternatives wherever possible in transport. Within Europe, this means that the night train is, in many cases, the climate-friendliest, the most comfortable, and the best way. You get into the train in the evening in one city, and you wake up relaxed in another city in Europe the next day. To me, it is clear night trains are the climate-friendly alternative to short-haul flights, and within Europe, many people will first choose these rail connections, and I am convinced that this is our clear mission to extend the range of night train services and improve them for our citizens in Europe. I am particularly pleased about this increased support for our endeavor in Europe, and thank you so much for this. In Austria, we have already implemented a lot of measures to boost the renaissance of the night trains actively. And we do this even and despite all these difficulties during this pandemic. Infrastructure charges for night trains have been suspended in the short term. Energy tax for traction current has been reduced, and we will invest 500 million euros in new rolling stock. The corona crisis has hit us hard, has hit hard everybody. Individual sacrifices and deprivations or restrictions, travel restrictions. We've all had to deal with this, but I am convinced that people in Europe will be even happier to start using these night trains once this is possible. For this endeavor to be successful in the long term, We, the political decision makers, have to set the right framework for the future. We should use or take into account possibilities for international PSO services. Europe has a lot of need for action with eliminating technical and logistical hurdles in international passenger rail services. Similar to air transport, we should consider a single European rail area. On that note, I welcome the plans by the EU Commission to tackle these questions in the next year, and Austria will support these action plans. Our commitment is to take the fight against climate change as a leitmotif, and for us, more night trains are an important piece of the puzzle. So thank you very much for this joint initiative, and I wish us all every success for our citizens in Europe. Thank you very much, Minister. We will continue with Mr. Papinuti in France.
Hello from Paris. I've been asked to say a few words and add to what was already said by the two ministers. We share the conviction that night trains have a future in Europe because they offer an ecological and sustainable alternative to the planes for longer distances, and because it's also in the interest of our citizens. The promotion and funding for night trains is necessary and requires a European dimension. We are happy about the Year of Rail 2021 proposed by the Commission. Therefore, we jointly agreed to pursue the objective of a European night train network. Together with SNCF in France, we are committed to expanding the existing night trains, and we also intend to open new lines from Paris to Nice in 2021 and Paris to Sardes in 2022. And that's a great initiative of the European railway undertakings. We cooperate in order to allow a cross-border network of night trains in Europe on the large lines within Europe. We are currently having a study that is looking into the costs for construction. This will be presented to the French Parliament. And there are some lines that we can implement in cooperation, for instance, from Paris to Brussels or Paris to Berlin. Thank you. Thank you very much to France. We'll now continue with Dr. Lutz, who is with us here. Federal Minister Scheuer, Federal Minister Gewessler, Director General Papinuti, colleagues from the ÖBB, SBB and SNCF, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pity that we can only meet virtually, because today we are discussing an important step that physically and palpably contributes to the integration of Europe. In a close cooperation between ÖBB, SBB and SNCF, we are expanding our night train services with Deutsche Bahn. And these are good news because this kind of travel is getting increasingly popular. Here, cross-border transport can live up to its full potential with night trains because it's a green and stress-free alternative to cars and planes. And therefore, we as DB are happy to be a strong partner within the European railway community, and we contribute to making sure that international night trains reach their destination when going through the German network in time. More than 6,000 trains with sleeping and couchette cars traveled through our networks in the past year. They were steered by locomotive drivers, and they were powered by our energy and marketed through our marketing and distribution channels. So today already, DB is selling around 500 tickets for international night services for other railway undertakings. So you see that rail trains is a business or among partners. This is only the logical approach because this is a business that is highly complex and requires a high specialization. Therefore, we need special wagons, facilities, and teams. Every railway undertaking can offer a bit of a night train, but that's not enough, of course. Therefore, the solution is a division of labor within teamwork. This is the recipe for success, and that's what we intend to progress as DB with our European partners. Germany, with its location at the center of Europe, is one important element for a European night train network. We are well aware of our important role and we are happy to fully live up to it. We are guided by one clear conviction, namely that a green future for Europe is only possible by strengthening the railways and by making our services more attractive for consumers today and in the future. And this is in line with the European Green Deal as well as with the European Year of Rail that we as DB are particularly looking forward to. Because Europe needs strong railways for climate, for the people, for the economies, and last but not least, for the integration of countries and of people. We are looking forward to seeing the future and we're looking forward to acting in concert. Thanks to all of you, and a particular thank you to you, Minister Scheuer, for having progressed this service of cross-border railway links by implementing the TEE 2.0 and putting it on the agenda of the European Council presidency. The European railway family is on a good way towards the future. I'm convinced of that. And we have agreed upon this with our partners. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Lutz. Just for everyone to know, we are still trying to get in contact with Mr. Flüglisthaler from Switzerland, but for now we'll continue with Austria. Mr. Matte. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this joint declaration is a strong signal for the future of night train services in Europe. I'm particularly pleased by the large support received from the transport ministers of our 4 countries. This is an impressive political statement for the expansion of railways in Europe. Through the cooperation of ÖBB, Deutsche Bahn, SNCF and SBB, we are able to significantly expand our night jet network and to offer even more climate-friendly mobility in Europe. In the future, we intend to connect Paris, Berlin, Hamburg, Amsterdam, Brussels, Zurich, Vienna and Barcelona with night train connections. And of course the Italian destinations, Milano and Venice, belong to this as well. Today is a special day for me because it shows that back in 2016 we took the right decision. The ÖBB Nightjet has turned into a European brand for night trains with around 2 million convinced consumers. It's particularly young people and families who are fans of our night trains. At the moment, we have 19 Nightjet services in place and will be able to expand to 26 in Europe. I think this shows that we as railway undertakings are reliable partners. With this new cooperation, we are able to take a major leap towards the expansion of the night train network. Starting in December 2021, we are going to offer a direct connection from Zurich with Amsterdam and from Vienna to Munich and Paris. Starting in 2023, we are going to see connections from Berlin to Paris and Brussels. 1 year later, we're going to have Zurich-Rome, and afterwards Zurich-Barcelona, and particularly Berlin is going to be connected to Paris and Brussels starting in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, in the long run, the night train business can only survive if we have proper framework conditions. We require important measures by Austria that has already been done, but also support for the profitability of night trains. And we have seen active support. And I would like to particularly thank our Federal Minister Gewessler, who gave her personal input to this end. In addition to the member states, however, we also need more Europe for the night trains. And therefore, we have tried to gather and to join forces of these 4 railway undertakings and receive the support of the European Union for the expansion of the night train services in Europe. 3 elements are particularly important here. A harmonized and reduced railway toll for night trains in the EU. Fair, competitive conditions for the different modes of transport, as well as facilitated cross-border PSO services. If we ensure that these framework conditions for climate-friendly rail travel is given, then in the future we'll be able to offer more night train services in Europe. In December 2021, we'll see the first steps, namely when the first night jet travels from Vienna to Paris. Thank you very much. I'd also like to warmly thank my colleagues for the outstanding cooperation of recent weeks and months. It's a good signal for the railway undertakings that cooperate and that go across borders. Thank you very much. And now, Austria, and then France.
First of all, hello to everybody. Hello, ladies and gentlemen ministers, Switzerland, Austria, and Germany. On behalf of the French Ministry of Transport, I would like to welcome our counterparts, my colleagues. It's always a great pleasure to work with you. It is true that these natural historic operators are trying to cooperate to offer new services to our citizens. I'll start with this new European perspective. I believe that Europe and the European vision should focus more on the railways being an instrument of unification, an instrument for cargo transport. It goes through the entire continent and also moves passengers. Long-distance transport must connect cities and people. We opened it once before. We cooperated with our German friends and offered services to the northern part of Europe. But I believe that the night trains will allow us to go even further, to travel over longer distances, 1,500 kilometers. We will be able to open corridors for travelers within Europe. These night trains will be our way to make the European railway undertakings contribute to the European idea and cohesion, and we can be proud of that. We are also answering to a growing demand by the young generation. It's not only in the case in France. I'm sure that in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, the young people prefer taking other modes of transport than airplanes. There's a shift. They are more environmentally conscious. They want to eliminate or reduce carbon emissions, and we are all aware that the trains have 30% less carbon emissions than other modes of transport or air transport. The young people want to contribute to combating climate change and would prefer using these night trains. So I believe that this initiative is happening at just the right time. I am looking forward to the SNCF's participation in this. We want to cooperate with Austria, Germany, and Switzerland, and we want to boost an initiative that we've decided on. We hope that we will be able to offer a new service to our customers for a more ecological Europe. Thank you very much. We'll continue with Mr. Ducroux from Switzerland, and then Mr. Flüglichsthaler. I believe we've settled the technical problems here. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much. The interpreter has to say that the sound is really bad. I am truly happy that we've quite more or less settled our technical problems. I would like to apologize on behalf of our ministers, of our minister who had to go to the Bundesrat. I would like to thank the German Council presidency and in particular Federal Minister Scheuer for this invitation and this initiative concerning the Trans-Europe Express and this exchange today. We need to strengthen international rail services during the day and during the night. It is an alternative to road and air transport. It is better for the climate and it increases the quality of life. For this reason, Switzerland is supporting this MOU developed by Germany. This idea, this strategy will define a European network, railway network, which will be operated by the railway undertakings, and tickets can be purchased easily and digitally. Nevertheless, there is room for improvement. This is why we are convinced that we must not only focus on a few trans-European connections, we must rather build up an entire network that will allow changes. We believe that comfort is as important as high speed. These criteria that defines which is a Trans-Europe Express and which is not should be reviewed again. We would. This entire initiative would lose importance if we focus too much on individual aspects. This would allow us to connect more European cities and cover a larger area. Munich-Zurich would be the first Trans-Europe Express connections in 2021. We would be able to operate it and lay the foundation for a future-looking European solution. Switzerland is willing to work harder on this strategy. We could succeed in the short term to provide better services over short distances in Europe, and this should be our joint objective. I would like to thank you for listening. Thank you very much. And we'll go over to the Swiss Bundesbahn. Herr Ducroux, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. I would like to welcome everybody. The demand for night trains has increased significantly. We saw this already. For us, this is of importance because it helps develop the railway sector. It's important to provide attractive connections because it is key to the development of the railways. We look forward and we are proud to be part of this initiative and work together with our German, French, and Austrian colleagues. We are convinced that this system that we are developing will allow us to replace part of air transport and shift it to night rail connections. We want to show that 50,000 tons of CO2 emissions can be saved. We can replace 30,000 cars simply by offering these services that we're developing together here. It is really important that infrastructure is upgraded and maintained so we are in a position to provide these services. In Switzerland, we've developed a connection to Munich, but we will also look towards Italy. These are key elements: infrastructure, good cooperation for the development of rail services, and we truly look forward and are happy to cooperate with you. We have 5 connections, international connections today. Tomorrow there will be 10, and we will connect so many European cities together. This is huge progress. Thank you very much for this excellent cooperation, and I am looking forward to continuing to develop this system because it will be a key element for the future development of Europe. Thank you. Thank you very much to all the participants, and we will now start with the rounds of questions. I said that we are limited in time, so we can only accept 2-3 questions, but I am optimistic that our colleagues will address their points of contacts, and we will be able to answer questions later on. ORF, what is the aim? How many passengers are you planning to address? Mr. Maté, maybe you can answer?
Ja, herzlichen Dank.
Thank you very much. We are currently calculating with 1.4 million passengers that we had before COVID, and calculating with a duplication of up to around 3 million passengers when operating the 26 Nightjet lines. Thank you very much. Then Political Europe. Germany was against night trains at first. Now we are for them. Mr. Lutz? Yes, we were actually always for the night trains, particularly when consumers asked for them. We have to analyze the situation very objectively. Around 5% of the journeys done in the 90s on night trains, around only 1% was left in recent years. That means that there was a huge economic challenge for us. And that's why we considered a different approach. We still have quite a large number of ICEs and ICs and Eurocities that operate overnight. But in recent years, we've seen, particularly for young people, that we have an increase of around 60% in demand, from 1 million to 1.6 million, also before the pandemic. And the other aspect is something that comes from a joint conviction, I think. We can only achieve something when acting together at the EU level and offering joint European connections and services. They need to be planned and marketed and distributed together. It's important that nobody does so on their own, but that we do so together. We, the CEOs and presidents of the railways, I think I may say so, are convinced Europeans, and therefore this initiative launched in September by Minister Scheuer and the other ministers is an initiative that I think I can say so on behalf of everyone, we were very open to. Therefore, the strategy progressed so quickly because we've been able to now take one first, I think, major and good step towards the expansion of cross-border services in the coming years. If we would like to achieve more, we have to work on the elements that Mr. Maté mentioned, who is not only the CEO of the ÖBB, but also the head of the European railways. And that's exactly what we need to work on. We are convinced that this is a proper way towards the future, not only for climate, but also for our citizens. Thank you very much, Mr. Lutz. And then we have a few questions that are directed to Austria. Will the ÖBB continue to invest in new trains? If I may begin, and afterwards I'd like to give the floor to Andreas Maté. Yes, in Austria, this is definitely seen as a political task, offering night trains as an alternative to short-distance flights. And particularly also road trips on these on these distances. And we are willing to contribute the necessary promotion and support here. We've seen that we are successful. The history of night trains at ÖBB has shown so. We will continue to politically support this with, on the one hand, a focus on fair competitive conditions, the competition with the road, but also with necessary additional investments that the ÖBB will do in additional overnight trains in the coming years, valuing around 500 million euros. And it's also very important that the rail expansion project will invest 17.5 million euros in infrastructure in the coming years. That's also an important building block to make sure that railway services work well at the EU level in Austria as well, and that we have the necessary capacity. Addition from Austria? Yes, at the moment we have 13 trains that are being constructed, so an additional 20 trains are going to be available, and they will operate under the Nightjet brand. And why do I say so, this brand Nightjet? For us as railway undertakings, it's important that we have a clearly defined quality. The consumers need to know when entering a Nightjet what they can expect with regard to quality. These trains are being restructured, particularly for sleeping cars. We are intending to offer more privacy as well in this segment. We think that in addition to families and young people, we'll be able to address additional consumer groups. Thank you very much to Austria, and thank you to everyone else as well. As we've said, we had only a limited time frame available. Therefore, our colleagues from the different press departments will be happy to answer your questions subsequently. I'd like to thank everyone who participated and wish you a nice afternoon.